Alrighty, so Caitlín Nic Gabhann, you're UCC's Traditional Artist in Residence for 2022. We're here at Sunday's Well Music Department, and we're gonna kind of talk through a couple of things, but first let's start with any details about yourself, just a brief overview of you as a person, what you do.
Sure, well, okay, where do we start? I actually came to UCC to college myself back in the day. I am from County Meath, Ashburn, and which is, very close to Dublin, so I knew if I went to college in Dublin I'd be living at home. So I said, no, I need to get out now and get out into the big bad world. So I came down here and completely fell in love with the place straight away. I just loved my experience here. And then I went away after my undergrad with Riverdance for a couple of years, and then I came back to do the masters here after that. And it was always drawing me back. I was definitely wanting to come back at some stage and to do the masters that time. So when this opportunity came up for the residency, I was like 100%, I would love to do that. So I'm here now, and I play the concertina and I dance, and I'm kind of full-time at it. I'm practicing musician and between gigs and a bit of touring and a bit of teaching and all of that. It's multifaceted, as they say. There's so many different angles and roads and paths that you have to you have to be very versatile in this sort of industry and be able to branch out and diversify and do different things, because you have to make a living from it. So doing lots of different things over the past 10, 12 years, I've learned a thing or two along the road and taught myself and trained up and learned myself and learned the hard way and learned through experience. Because even though I have a music degree and a master's from here, there's an awful lot that can be only learned through experience when you're actually in practice on the road doing it yourself and being brave and sending the emails and asking the questions and asking, can you do this, can you do that? They're only things that you can learn and get experience in when you're actually out there doing it. You can study so much, but then you have to get out and actually do it. Now, it gave me a great grounding, great training here, great experience and mixing and meeting with other types of music, because my whole life has been traditional music and I don't have any real experience with any other style or genre of music, and the same with dancing.
What's your creative process like?
A little bit of a melody doesn't just come into my head like it does for a lot of other people. I have a very busy mind, an active mind, and it's constantly on the go, like monkey brain. I'm just naturally kind of a busy person, and the calendar is always full. I don't really know how to operate any other way. So for me to be able to create something from nothing, I need to have a clear mind. I need to have headspace. So how do you get a clear mind and headspace for someone whose mind is never clear, who's never empty? So I have to focus on that at the time, and I have to prioritize it. Absolutely nothing creative or original will come in a time of stress or pressure. So what I'll do is I'll bring myself off, for a few walks every day, good long walks, and I'll try and just empty my mind. Walks are great for clearing the head. You come back with a fresh perspective after. And sometimes it won't happen on the first day or second day, but if I have it in the forefront of my mind that this is what I need to do today, and you apply yourself to it, then maybe on the second, third or fourth walk, something will come. And another trick for me is I try to not have my phone with me. So I leave the phone in the car and I just have a pen and paper. So if there is an idea for a melody comes, it mightn't be the start of the tune, it could be somewhere in the middle of the tune, it could be the start of the second part, or I'll go home and Kieran will be like, that sounds like a second part, so then I have to go and try and make up the first part. And I just write it down on the pen and paper then, but that's the focus, that's the priority there. I'm pretty good at applying myself to a task, to a job, if I'm getting it across the line and getting it done. But the pressure that I put on myself then is getting it to a good standard, and that can be stressful then, because often I'll think it's not good enough. So then I try again, or you try to make it better. So that's the pressure I would put on myself. That's just naturally, it's always how I've been.
Do you have different forms of creative process for different activities?
That would only apply to if I have to write a tune, if I'm coming up with something new. Practice is just practice then. That's just about, if I'm practicing for a gig, that's just sitting down and putting in the hours and putting in the time. That's just about the practice and putting it in. Now, if I'm playing with other people, it's about collaborating and give and take then and over and back. But again, it's just about the sitting down and going through the motions of practice. Same with the dancing.
What does creativity mean to you?
Well, I get a great kick out of creating something from nothing. So that comes down to the dances that I choreograph. So the few, I haven't done too many now, but let's say O'Carroll's Concerto, Tico Tico, The Shelf, the Belfast Hornpipe, the American Polka, and now it's St. Bridget's Day, the new one. They are steps that I have made up to those tunes. So that's specific choreography that matches along, that goes along with the phrasing of those tunes. So when I put together something that wasn't there before, that I get a great kick out of that, a great buzz out of that. Same with coming up with the new tunes. That's something that wasn't there before and now it's there and it's actually half all right. Even a variation in a tune is hugely creative. Getting it right, getting a good variation in the tune. We're constantly sticking variations into tunes left, right and centre. We never play them the same way twice. So whether it's the ornamentation you change, whether it's actually the melody that you change, so you stick in a long note instead of a run of notes, if it's chords that you put in, you're peppering that and you're decorating that melody with your own personality, your own character, and you're putting your own stamp on that tune. And it's all different every time, depending on your mood, depending on who you're playing with, depending on the speed you're playing at, depending on who you're playing for. All of those elements come into it and you create it differently every time.
Would you say that there are a lot of benefits to being creative?
You can adapt to a situation because you can turn it around and see it in a different way. I love that saying, you can change any situation by the energy you bring to it. So depending on what energy you are bringing, you might change the dynamic of a conversation that you come into or something. That's all creative. So it depends on, I suppose, your own mindset. If you're thinking positively, it can only have positive outcomes. Like even the days that I spend at the laptop, there has to be creative ways of getting back to people sometimes in emails. You have to work your way around them or work your way around the situation to get the desired outcome. Even now when I'm at home with my small kids, you have to get creative numerous times a day to keep them entertained, to keep them occupied, think of a new idea, distract them over there, over here. Let's play this game now, So thinking up new things.
And do you think there are any challenges that face young creative people today?
Well, I know for myself that when I have my phone in my hand, that nothing creative really is happening. And it's only when I give myself a proper break from it that my mind is allowed to rest enough and therefore new ideas could potentially come in. That would be a major block in my opinion, because that's my personal experience. When I was starting to write music or come up with new tunes, and when I was starting to gig and play with other people and learning the dynamics of all of that has to go on when you're playing with other people and trying to put your own stamp on your own music, but trying to find your way in the industry and within the community. If I had had a smartphone then, I don't know how much of that I would have actually gained or achieved. Obviously there's all the benefits of having a smartphone, having your phone in your hand and all that, but that would definitely be a block for me now. And it is a thing that I have to work at because they are so addictive that I have to make myself put it down and put it away. That it is a block to creativity, I think, for me personally. Yeah, and it's you don't know how it will affect a generation because, you know, they haven't lived without that.
Do you have any advice for young people starting out right now in the creative industry?
I'd give yourself as much headspace and quiet time as you can without going mad. Like, I know you have to, we all need our phones, we all need the contact. Don't be afraid to listen to the silence or sit in the silence as well. You need to give your head a chance and your mind a chance to create. I'm only here a few weeks yet, so I'm just starting to meet the students now. I put out a call last week inviting people to engage with me and to contact me, and I gave kind of a rundown of what I could potentially help them with, like where my experience is. I love that opportunity to see if I can be of any help to them.
And is there anything that you're particularly excited about over the coming year, really, with your residency?
Yeah, well, mostly I'm just excited to engage with students. That's really where I'm at mostly. If I can help them as much as possible and get the word out to as many students as possible that I'm here. And then we have our film concerts at the 4th of March, so I'm excited for that, to be playing in the Aula Maxima again. I love that room. And then that'll be, you know, that's the main part of my residency here up till Easter. The second half of my residency then will be my own space here in the music department for my own practice, for my own creative practice, that I have a space that I can engage with the UCC community as much or as little as I want, but my main focus here will be, you know, that focused time to compose and practice. So that'll be great to have that dedicated space that I can put the time and energy into that, because as I said, when you're at home and life is busy and monkey brain, sometimes you need to just remove yourself from the environment into a fresh space that is only for one purpose, that you need to achieve that.
When you say monkey brain, what exactly do you mean?
Just busy all the time. My head, it's always ideas, always calendar stuff. My diary is full, because I think I've plenty of energy and I like achieving things, and my challenge is resting. That just doesn't come naturally to me. I have to make myself do it, so my habit, it's bad, is to go until I crash. So I'm trying to learn to be better at that and to pace myself. But then the challenge with that is that I have these ideas of things that I want to do all the time. And I also have the belief that I can do them. I have great belief in my own ability, which I'm proud of, and my parents have given me plenty of self-esteem. So I believe I can do these things. But then there's the challenge of there's not enough hours in the day. I have kids now, there's all the other factors. So it's like as if the ideas coming into my head of things that I want to and know I can do come into my head. Then there's the battle saying, but you know, when do you think you're going to get all this stuff done? So I run a business online. And last year I was just, you know, crumbling with the workload and couldn't manage everything, and young toddlers now and everything. So I got help. I got a woman who helps me kind of with the admin side of it. So that has taken a bit of the load off, because you can't do everything.
You're not going to stop crumbling by keeping it all to yourself and continuing the way you're continuing. Something has to change.
Yeah.
And that's really, really good advice, to ask for help from people. Mm-hmm. Do you have any other advice for people that might find themselves in a similar situation, finding themselves with a lot of work, wanting to do it, but...
Yeah, you just have to prioritise, where do you want your energy to go? What's the most important thing to get done here? So if it's composing, if it's playing on stage that you need to practice for, that's where you need to put your time. Because if you think about it, if you have spent so many hours of the day cleaning the house or replying to emails, how much actual creative energy do you have left at the end of the day to practice or to compose? And you're not going to do really good practice or really good composing then. Yeah, you might muddle through it, but think about how good practice, like better doing 1 hour really good practice than 5 hours where you're so tired, you're just going through the motions. You know, if you could afford it at all, outsource that work and pay someone like the girl who's helping me. You know, we get a cleaner in, we have childcare. There's lots of different things that I have to really get strict on where my energy goes, because it's not limitless, it's not endless, it's not, you know, you have to, there is a limit to it. My energy is going to my work, my energy is going to my family, and after that I don't have any more. Like, I just have to say no to other things. So, you know, sometimes invites or things will come in and you have to get really strict, things that might drain your energy or be too far away or just too much effort to get there, and it's just not going to be worth it for my, you know, obviously your family has to come first. So I just prioritise. I'm getting better at prioritising like that, and it's really good once you get into the habit of that, because then you find that I do have plenty of energy for my kids, because I'm not wasting it on trying to clean the house from top to bottom, because we've had help in with that. So I'm of the belief that if you kind of start out, if you set yourself up, this is the kind of life that I want to live, and you just start living it, it starts to click into place a bit.
Do you think it's getting any way easier for women in the industry?
100%. Sure, my mother, from my mother's generation to where we're at now, what we're doing, it has hugely changed. So that's brilliant. I think it is easier in that there's definitely more equal opportunity now.
Is there anything else you'd like to add that I haven't asked maybe, but it's on your mind that you'd like to say?
Keep your eye on the ball. As in, what is it that you really want, that you want to achieve? And don't let it get diluted, don't let it dwindle. And write it out, write it down on a page and put it beside your bed or hang it on the wall, so that you are reminding yourself of how much you want, whatever it is. If you want to tour, if you want to play on stage, if you want to have your paintings in a certain specific gallery on an exhibition, or whatever your goal is that you would really be so excited about, that you would say, oh geez, if I did that, I'd be delighted, I'd be so proud of myself, that would be great. Because even if you're not working towards that specific thing every day, that thought is in the back of your head. That desire, what you want, is in the back of your head. If you write it out and read it, like read it to yourself, read it out loud every day if you can, because even if you're going to work then, or you're going to college and you're studying something different, but your decisions on your roads that you go down, or the people that you decide to meet for coffee, or your little decisions will all be influenced by that really strong desire in the back of your head. And eventually it will just set you on the path a little bit further to that goal. Whatever it is, decide on what it is that you want, and write it out, and yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Isabel.